Overnight, the internet, at least on the conservative independent side, blew up this past week. Candace Owens, the literal face of Daily Wire, the one who makes all the headlines besides Matt Walsh, is no longer associated with them after months of alleged internal conflict between her and Ben Shapiro. For months, Candace Owens has been labeled an anti-Semitic Jew hater for not picking a side in the war between Israel and Palestine. It seems like overnight, her not picking a side caused a bunch of old remarks to suddenly reach the surface. Out of context, I might add. Because as always happens when an issue becomes a social justice moment, you will agree or we will ruin you. The difficult part is, in this case, what side of a war do you choose? You're either a piece of shit for not boycotting McDonald's, the biggest fast food chain in the world, or you hate Jewish people because the death of a 4-year-old Palestinian child makes you sad. What would you choose? Let's talk about something very important first, the Israel-Gaza war. If you notice, and have been following me since October 7th of 2023, I have never publicly commented on this issue. For a reason. For me, this issue is a lot more complicated than just choosing a side. Let me make something very clear. October 7th was a terrorist attack on Israel. I think we all watched the news that day. There's no way to go around that fact. And when this happened, I personally believed that it was Israel's responsibility to find a way to defend itself, to eradicate the terrorist organization Hamas. Regardless, I was born post 9/11, and the overwhelming expectation for the United States to get involved or pick a side was scary for multiple reasons. The obvious, World War III, but after seeing all the funding that we've provided to the Ukraine-Russia war, only to see death, destruction, and zero end in sight, all I saw was more American-funded death and destruction. A war that will only end in the Taliban still having control over Afghanistan. In the last couple years of my life, I have become very religious, and I've developed a very strong relationship with Christ. And I'm not here to preach to you. I mention it because it's relevant to my point. The Bible is clear. Thou shalt not kill. And besides it being a biblical moral, most people will agree to that. So after seeing how some politicians called for a war to end all wars in reference to Israel and Palestine, the writing on the wall was clear. Another war overseas, more dead children, more widowed mothers, more flattened cityscapes. Most interestingly, a staggering push for one to choose one side or the other during a war. War is war. We no longer fight with sticks and stones. We fight with bombs. Before anything else, I will address this specific subject one time during this conversation, because I know that the world hears a gay man speaking on the subject and has questions. This is not a statement on how the Islamic religions treat gay people. Regardless, I would never condone the mindset of let me stone them before they stone me. Most major world religions have passages on the existence of gay people. Even the Christian Bible. Many will take at face value that we're not people, we're abominations. And still, I am a Christian. I don't know how this war will end, but just like Candace, I cannot value one life more than another. Nor do I feel like it is the responsibility of America to yet again get involved in another war. Why do I bring this subject up to you? Because for months, Candace Owens and the co-founder of Daily Wire, Ben Shapiro, had a very publicly documented falling out over this issue. They had a back and forth on Twitter, which then led to both of them making statements on their respective platforms. The online spat came about because Candace said this after October 7th.
And really what was happening across the board and what has been happening is an utter lack of humanity. And I think in those circumstances, I find that when I can't get behind people that think it's fine because a Jewish person is dead, and because I can't get behind an individual that think it's acceptable to basically come within an inch of calling for a genocide of Muslims, it's best to remain silent.
And she maintained her position, which caused Ben Shapiro to have words for her.
And I think she's been absolutely disgraceful. I think that her faux sophistication on these particular issues has been ridiculous.
Regardless, there was no real statement from Candace until November of 2023, where unrelated, according to Candace, she tweeted this: "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are ye, when men shall revile you, and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely, for my sake. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." Ben then seemed to take this personal and responded with, "Candace, if you feel that taking money from the Daily Wire somehow comes between you and God, by all means, quit," leading to this response from Candace: "You have been acting unprofessional and extremely unhinged for weeks now, and we have all had to sit back and allow it and have tried to exercise exceeding understanding for your raw emotion. But you cross a certain line when you come for scripture and read yourself into it. I will not tolerate it." This public dispute was significant because, again, Ben is co-founder of the Daily Wire, and this was extremely unprofessional. After what many Americans saw with Iraq, how many innocent children had to die under the name of anti-terrorism, anyone with proper foresight would again see the coming death and destruction. So I understand her, and I respect that she never changed her position. I believe that Candace Owens was inching at the bit to leave because she refused to censor her speech. Censor her speech at a platform that no longer values free speech. For months, people have been trying to label her anti-Semitic, with many Jewish leaders agreeing with that sentiment. So Candace decided that she was going to have a conversation with a rabbi that had written a lot of articles about her, Rabbi Barkley. Articles with quotes that leave no room for debate, like, "The simple truth is that whether it is because of ignorance or denial, both of these two conservative leaders are supporting Hamas and evil." That was in reference to Candace and Tucker Carlson. So this past Monday the 18th, they had a near 2-hour conversation about her alleged anti-Semitism. She was accused of the following points. Let's break them down together. It was alleged that she said that October 7th wasn't that bad, which is utter bullshit, so I'm not even going to elaborate. I'm just going to show you the clip.
Midday Saturday, when I learned of the atrocities that were taking place in Israel. Not like what happened on October 7th to me was so horrific and was so evil. And it partially, the reason why I believed it was so horrific and so evil was there was no military target. You were just targeting civilians, and civilians are innocent, right? And so for you to then tell me, is it more or less evil when now innocent civilians, what is the number at Can you tell me what the number is of Palestinian children that
No,
have
I
been?
can't because the Hamas authorities aren't.
I know, but I'm asking you.
you.
I'm not asking Hamas. I'm asking you.
Candace, I'm asking.
Candace then raises the argument that as a matter of foreign policy, we should be able to discuss wars. And I agree. We should be able to discuss the implications of war, especially in the modern era of nuclear weapons, because it could end up wiping out the only race that actually matters, the human race. But the response to this is personally not what I expected from a religious leader.
If you'd asked me on October 6th, I would say we should do whatever we should do for peace. What they did on October 7th was surrender their human souls. They became Amalek, if you're familiar with the character from the Bible. And what they did is so evil. It cannot be compared to anything else.
The main critique, where Candace's alleged anti-Semitism stems from, is a misquote where she apparently said that Hitler was okay. From this clip, tell me if you can get to the same conclusion.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't have any problems at all with the word nationalism. I think that it gets, the definition gets poisoned by elitists that actually want globalism. Globalism is what I don't want. So when you think about, whenever we say nationalism, the first thing people think about, at least in America, is Hitler. You know, he was a National Socialist, but if Hitler just wanted to make Germany great and have things run well, okay, fine. The problem is that he had dreams outside of Germany. He wanted to globalize. He wanted everybody to be German, everybody to be speaking German, everybody to look a different way. That's not, to me, that's not nationalism.
So again, we're trying there to define nationalism. Does your statement, she publicly said that Hitler was okay, is that an honest statement?
Yeah.
But most of the interview focused on another public feud that Candace had with public figure Rabbi Shmuley, a man that has also attacked her relentlessly for 2 years and continues to write article after article about her alleged anti-Semitism. Candace called this man unholy for a very simple reason, because he is a rabbi, a religious figure, who sells butt plugs with his daughter.
Including yesterday, when he says that me finding the products and stuff that he sells and promotes as a rabbi to be unholy, to say that I am only saying that because it's made in Israel, is totally ridiculous.
Being a religious leader who co-signs the sale of butt plugs is something I would also personally question.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe there are better words to call her than a hag daughter?
I'm actually not going to edit my language for 2 people that have been attacking me for 2 years. And so I am not going to be told whether you want to dress it up as anti-Semitism, you want to dress it up as that I cannot respond and defend myself. I'm certainly not going to be told that I need to be contained in how I respond after 2 years of consistent attacks from 2 individuals.
If somebody attacks you relentlessly for years, somebody with authority, like a religious leader, you should be able to point out that it's weird that they're a rabbi who allegedly sells butt plugs with his daughter. Regardless of someone's race or religion, that's fucking weird. There was then her allegedly saying that Jewish people run Hollywood, which she never said. She did, however, do a report 2 weeks back on her show about an alleged blackmail ring operating in Hollywood.
Despite the fact that the Bloods and the Crips are black, that the majority of black people do not support the crimes that they have committed. What if that is what is happening right now in Hollywood, if there is just a very small ring of specific people who are using the fact that they are Jewish to shield themselves from any criticism? It's food for thought, right? And I think, again, there have been enough people that are speaking out about a ring in Hollywood, also a ring potentially in DC, that we should start to ask those questions. All of us, Black, Spanish, Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, all Americans should want answers, because this appears to be something that is quite sinister.
Her evidence partially comes from the Diddy lawsuit, which has documents available for public view, as well as personal accounts from Michael Jackson, as well as Cat Williams, who, like many celebrities, have commented on this alleged blackmail ring. We all know of the allegations against Michael Jackson, but most of us don't know that the FBI searched him and his home, raided his entire property, and found nothing connecting him to being a child molester.
Maybe it's perhaps the lack of evidence that was ever uncovered. Michael Jackson was found not guilty of all of the charges that were brought against him.
And it's interesting because suddenly all the articles being pushed by the media about him being a child predator strangely changed to claims of him possibly being anti-Semitic.
But that didn't stop the media's obsessive attacks against him. They still wanted people to believe that this man was a bad individual. And so they shifted their claims and they started revealing in so many articles, so many front page news pieces were written to tell the masses that Michael Jackson was a raging anti-Semite.
No evidence for their claims from the man who sings Human Nature. From outside looking in, things started to seem a little odd. Michael Jackson was also said to have had a list of people that he considered his enemies. People that he said were trying to get together to destroy his career.
It is a fact, by the way, that Michael Jackson did keep a list of people in the industry that he said were his enemies, okay? On that list were people that all happened to be Jewish.
Coincidentally, all the people on this list happened to be Jewish. Gloria Allred, a lawyer. Tommy Mottola, a music executive. Uri Geller, an Israeli illusionist. And Dieter Weisner, which was Michael's former manager. It should also be noted that the last person on that list was Rabbi Shmuley. We know this because Dieter Weisner, again Michael's former manager, was the one to release this list. Michael feared that all of these people in the industry were coming together to dismantle his career. Now let me show you why this all ties in.
And here's what else I will tell you. When that Kanye situation went down, I was being threatened by a person named Rabbi Shmuley, person that Michael Jackson put on his enemy list, a person that I had never heard of, was threatening me and saying that unless I came out and said things explicitly against Kanye, he would effectively ruin my life. He said that he would take out a front page ad and smear me as an anti-Semite. And it wasn't just him, it was also his daughter. They were messaging me saying, don't mess with Jews. Very bizarre stuff, and they have not stopped, to be clear. And him and his daughter have consistently pulled clips from this show, taken them out of context, and tried to convince Jewish people that I hate them.
Candace Owens is gripped with a poisonous, almost pathological hatred of Jews.
She pointed out a very interesting connection. Nowhere in that did she say that all Jews run Hollywood and have evil intentions. This unbiased reporting is what labeled her anti-Semitic. And after dismantling every smear over anti-Semitism, it made her critics not look so good. But that's not what I believe broke the camel's back. Following this bombshell of an interview with Rabbi Barkley, a far-right commentator named Nick Fuentes voiced his support for what Candace was saying. He also called Ben Shapiro, and apparently all Jewish people, a parasitic force. Now, I don't know a lot about this man. I have heard some things that he's done and said. Please research him. But I do know that he has no connection to Candace Owens. However, following his vocal support of her, after the Rabbi Barkley interview, the Anti-Defamation League, which is an organization created to stop the defamation of the Jewish people, released a statement that said the following: white supremacist and Holocaust denier Nick Fuentes is praising Candace Owens' vitriolic anti-Semitism. It's hardly surprising, but it does set off alarm bells when bigoted people come together to push an anti-Semitic agenda. It adds fuel to the fire of hate. Notice the wording of come together. Again, They have no connection. He just publicly agreed with her. But somehow, him agreeing with her caused a connection between two people that have no connection. Candace knows Ben Shapiro. We can make the same baseless argument about her being pro-Israel because they know each other. But suddenly overnight, she was no longer at the Daily Wire. Candace announced her departure with, "I am finally free." And Jeremy Boring announced it with, "Daily Wire and Candace Owens have ended their relationship." Her boss, not even a good luck, which leads me to speculate that she had been pressured without rest to fall in line. And Candace, like her or not, stood by her morals. This is a journalist. Again, all of this is speculation and everything is alleged. The world may have forgotten, but journalists used to hold fire to these kind of establishment groups. I believe in free speech. I believe in media companies that are made up of people with different viewpoints. Why? Because discourse furthers society. It has never been known to halt its development. This is why basically overnight, suddenly Candace Owens was no longer working for the Daily Wire. It didn't even take a week. There were probably contracts involved that were either thrown out or she was bought out of her contract. It no longer served them to have an avid supporter of free speech on their platform because it's no longer free speech that they stand for. It's free certain speech. In my opinion, the release of Candace Owens from the Daily Wire team tarnishes the entire company's reputation for me. You didn't agree with her, so you publicly belittled her and her opinions for months. You tried to push her to get in line, and she didn't. So what did you guys do? You pulled a Fox News and let her go, allegedly, because she refused to be a mouthpiece. Just like Tucker Carlson, you will be quiet or your entire existence will be erased from our platform. And we can argue this because the mainstream media took it as an immediate opportunity to attack her and smear her name, just like in Tucker's case. Articles like Ben Shapiro's The Daily Wire severs ties with Candace Owens after her embrace of anti-Semitic rhetoric. Candace Owens is out at Daily Wire after months of railing against Jewish people. Candace Owens departs Ben Shapiro's website after anti-Semitic commentary. Keep in mind that most of these media companies have been reporting or calling for a ceasefire for months. From the beginning, people like Candace saw the looming war and stepped back.
What has been happening is an utter lack of humanity. And I think in those circumstances, I find that when I can't get behind people, it's best to remain silent.
Which makes this hypocrisy very interesting and a very obvious hit job. I understand why Candace took the stance that she did. We can all agree that September 11th was a horrific day in this country. And I understand that it was necessary for our country to take certain measures to defend itself. I understand that argument. However, had we been bombing Iraq and Afghanistan for months without any retaliation from them, is that a war? If the answer to that is no, then shouldn't we stop bombing innocent men, women, and children? People that have no connection to Hamas, a terrorist organization? Please remember that Hamas is not a synonym for Palestinian or Muslim. Ladies and gentlemen, this is now becoming a buzzword. This is the new racism, the new homophobia, the new transphobia. And as I always think with these buzzwords, on what grounds? Is it warranted? Is it truly fill in the blank? Or is it being used as a buzzword. Till now, neither Candace nor I have said anything anti-Semitic, but some of you watching have already made up your minds. I believe a country has the right to defend itself if there is a terrorist attack. I believe in self-defense. I understand self-defense. But when said war is over, both sides will have to go home. Home to Israel. Home to Palestine. How do you go back home to this? How do you rebuild dust? Is it anti-Semitic to want it to stop? To value human life? All human life? The Bible is clear. Thou shalt not kill. And this is killing on a mass scale, and it is wrong. I think special operations units that can track said Hamas terrorists is better than killing a whole family in one go. I just feel like people like Candace and I find it interesting that we can say that October 7th was a terrorist attack because it was, but then if you say that the death of an innocent Palestinian child makes you sad, that you are suddenly anti-Semitic. There are very real instances of homophobia, racism, anti-Semitism. I think history has taught us how divisive these things can be. Nobody is denying their existence. What we are discounting is the inappropriate and loose adoption of these buzzwords. A buzzword is never a good idea because when the bigoted act actually occurs, we've all heard the story of the boy who cried wolf. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for this video, and I know that I'm going to lose a lot of the subscribers that I've already gained, but I refuse to pretend like innocent Palestinian blood is less important than innocent Israeli blood. Human life is human life, and the 4-year-old children missing limbs are not at fault for the decisions of Hamas. You will never convince me of that. Regardless, it is not our responsibility to get in between this war, and I know that's a controversial thing to say, but this is America. This is not Russia. This is not Ukraine. This is not Palestine. This is not Israel. For the next few years, everyone in this country should become a nationalist. I care about this country. We need to focus on our country. And we need to stop letting our government, or better said, people within our government with special interests, trick us into supporting these wars overseas in the name of anti-terrorism or diplomacy. I am extremely against the military-industrial complex, and I have zero respect for people like Nikki Haley.
Something that Joe Biden and Nikki Haley have in common is that neither of them could even state for you 3 provinces in eastern Ukraine that they want to send our troops to actually fight for. Look at that. This is what I want people to understand. These people have, I mean, she has no idea what the hell the names of those provinces are, but she wants to send our sons and daughters and our troops and our military equipment to go fight it.
Or people like Lindsey Graham, who called for Iran to be blown off the map after Iran-backed attacks on American troops. A full country of human beings turned to rubble. These are warmongers. People with special interests who don't give a fuck if you have to pay $10 for eggs in some parts of the country. The president of Israel has made it very clear that he will not stop. There will be no ceasefire. And I quote, Israel will not stop until total victory. And if you're wondering what total victory looks like, again, it looks like this. If total victory is wiping out Hamas, all I see in these pictures is the wiping out of Palestine. This war was allegedly started over the terrorist attack on October 7th of 2023. So I'm not here to talk about the land and what happened in 1 year and what someone said in the 6th century. I don't care. And I have the same argument about reparations in America before somebody takes that the wrong way. I'm talking about the now. If this war was started in response to Hamas on October 7th, then what does total victory reference? Is it this? Are we to come to the conclusion that all of the Palestinians that lived in this area were radicalized by Hamas? Is this Israel's version of the Iraq and Afghanistan war, which many politicians and talking heads have regretted supporting? We are on the brink of war in this country. That is not an over-exaggeration. It is a subject that continues to be discussed, a subject that they just made a movie out of. We need to focus on the issues plaguing our country. Honestly, I don't care what you call me. I believe in God, and that is the only person that I fear. I know I'm doing right by what I believe in, by not standing for the murders of innocent human beings. Again, I am not here to preach to you, but I think we can all agree that murder is murder. This is why I did not go to school for journalism, because you're a mouthpiece or you're fired. If you won't shut up, we will deplatform you. I am a journalist. I don't need a piece of paper to prove it. I am not here to represent Republicans. I am not here to represent Democrats. I am an independent. I was born in Havana, Cuba, a place that doesn't really have a Jewish population. I didn't know of any or remember growing up with any around me. But in my research, there is apparently a very, very small population. Then coming to America, I was part of the American school system since I was in pre-K. So the only Jewish people I knew of were the ones who went through the Holocaust, a group of people who lost entire family lineages, businesses, homes, people that had to start over from nothing, many coming to America. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to flee from an evil government. Why would I ever hate this group of people because of their race or religion? I am not anti-Semitic, and from the evidence, neither is Candace Owens. I am pro-free speech. Even speech I may disagree with. I am confident that my viewers who happen to be Jewish know where my heart and intent lies. It should not be anti-Semitic to want peace in the world. The fact that I even have to say that is crazy. Honestly, I've been thinking about whether or not recording this video is even a good idea. Because when you hold your ground, when you don't pick a side, people go out of their way to mock you like this.
Purim is a day of celebration. We feel bad for Candace Owens that she lost her job. So I figure with her image of what Jews are supposed to look like, why not at least validate her? I am dressed up as a Candace Owens Jew.
That is yet again Rabbi Shmuley. Did I show you anything today to warrant this kind of ridicule and buffoonery? Will I get my own version of this because I won't co-sign American-funded wars that kill babies on both sides? Back in war times, they called this being a conscientious objector. There are no just wars. There is no just killing. This is canceled conversations. We don't cancel people around here. I bring attention to a subject, and I do my best to back up my opinions with facts. Just because you disagree with someone doesn't mean you should silence them. I started this channel to welcome all, which is why, in case you didn't know, the slogan for this channel is left, right, canceled, welcome. We are human beings. You cannot cancel me. I will continue to live, even if I am excommunicated from your brain. My family will still love me, my friends will still care about me, and there will still be people who will grab a chair and listen to what I have to say. We will not always agree on everything. Good. It's called discourse, and it has quite literally shaped society since the beginning of time. To be clear, I do not agree with everything Candace says. Again, I don't have to. In fact, there are a lot of things that me and Candace do not agree on. But there's one thing I highly admire her for, that she says all the time, the answer to speech we disagree with is just more speech. Why am I wrong? Explain your points to me. Why are you wrong? And I'll explain my points to you. Let me remind you, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That is Amendment 1 of our Constitution. In simplest terms, this is America, and I can say whatever the I want, and so can you, and so can Candace Owens. The Daily Wire, Fox News, CNN, MSDNC, all of these organizations that have decided that the American people can't be too smart, that it's best to guide us like sheeple, or we'll get lost. We are tired of your scripted news, and we are tired of your bullshit headlines. The American people are tired of being lied to. We are tired of being duped into wars overseas, and we're waking up. So to all the people that run these establishment organizations, God help you, because you're gonna need it.
Absolutely no regrets.